Clovis.com is the website, pretty easy to find. If you want to find out where I stand on some of the issues, go to upholdthetruth.com as well. There's a lot of videos there for me, short videos that talk about my positions on different issues. I was born and raised in Kansas. I received an appointment to the United States Air Force Academy. After 4 years at the Academy, I graduated with a degree and a commission, and for 25 years, I was an officer in the United States Air Force as a fighter pilot, and before you say anything, it was back when I was quite literally half the man I am today. So I was retired from the United States Air Force, and as the Inspector General for NORAD and U.S. Space Command, and after that I left the service, went into the private sector, was a successful businessman, and got a little bit more education along the way. I ended up with an MBA while I was in the service, and got my doctorate in public administration at the University of Alabama, and then decided to move my new family up to Iowa in 2000, and we've lived here ever since. And we love this place. This is where we're going to live and die, because we found our home, and this is where we are. I live in Hinton, Iowa, which is in Plymouth County, just north of Sioux City, Iowa up there, and I'm now the chair of the Department of Business Administration and Economics at Morningside College. Now, I want you to imagine what it's like to be a conservative on a liberal arts college campus. I created quite a bit of cognitive dissonance there, and I'm very proud of that fact, but it's a little bit like being in the Texas Rangers. If you have a mob scene in a West Texas town, only one ranger gets off the stage, gets off the train with his horse, and everybody says, well, we only sent one ranger, so we only have one mob. Well, at a liberal arts college, you only need one conservative professor on campus, and it's still not a fair fight. I just want to bring that up to you as well. I believe in it, and the reason I'm running for the United States Senate is because I think that the people of Iowa deserve someone who's going to provide the leadership, stewardship, and statesmanship that is so necessary today. We are going to hand off to our children a legacy that will leave them with a standard of living less than what we have enjoyed. The first generation in the history of this country to do that. We cannot do that. We owe our children and our grandchildren a better life than we have, and this country has all of that promised. In order to do that, the Congress of the United States, and in particular the United States Senate, must lead in this effort. We must lead to help overcome this administration, which I think is lawless in its nature and its execution. I think we need to have leadership there, and in that leadership we have to have competence. There's not a candidate running for the United States Senate of the Republican Party that is not going to be more capable than Bruce Braley. We already know that. We also know that the Senate candidate that you want to send in front of Bruce Braley and the senator you want to send to Washington, D.C. must be a person who is selfless. This is a person who will put the nation and Iowa ahead of themselves. We do not have that today because special interest essentially owns the Congress of the United States. We have to figure out ways to stop that, and the only way to do that is to send people up there who will represent you. You are the only special interest in the United States that is not represented in our Congress right now, and that's the people of the United States and the people of Iowa. You need to be represented there strongly with strong leadership, and Chuck Grassley needs a partner instead of a foil on the other side of the aisle. So this is why we have to do this. You also have to be, if you're going to be a leader, you have to think about these notions and being decisive. Today we need decisiveness. We don't need to dither on this issue. I'm amused at the fact that Bruce Braley has to go out and put out a poll on the internet to find out where he stands on Syria. He ought to know where he stands on Syria. I know where I stand on Syria, and that's what we have no business being in Syria, not now, not ever. Ever. And this leader must be courageous. You must have the courage to walk to the floor of the Senate, look the leadership of the Senate, whether that be Harry Reid or Mitch McConnell, look them in the eye and say, no more, not on my watch. We will do what is in the interest of the United States. We will do what's in the interest of the people of this country, and therefore, by definition, what's in the interest of the people of Iowa. You must be a steward. You must be a steward of the resources that we have. You must be a steward of the tax money that we send there. I believe in a fair tax. I'm committed to a fair tax. It's on my website. You can read about the fair tax. I'm a fair tax guy. If we have a fair tax, we don't need an IRS. That's just that simple. It's an easy equation for me. Fair tax, no IRS. That's pretty straightforward. I also believe in reducing corporate taxes to 10%. Corporate tax rates down to 10% removes the excuse for them to take that labor and that manufacturing offshore. It brings it home to the best, most productive workforce in the world, and that's the one that's right here. And I'll tell you, a lot of them will come to the state of Iowa, because we have the best people in the country right here in this state. We must be stewards of the institutions of this nation. That includes the separation of powers and the checks and balances that we have. We have an obligation as United States Senators to make sure that we have a separation of powers between the branches of government and also between the United States government and the states. We also have to provide in Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, the advice and consent to the administration. That's something this Senate has failed and failed miserably on for the last 7 years, and I hope we can turn that around when we send a Republican majority to the United States Senate in this next election. And finally, you have to have a statesman, a person who can capture and articulate a vision for this country that raises the hope of all, not just in this country, not just Republicans, not just Democrats, but every person in this country, and raise those hopes and raise those expectations to where they should be, that this is indeed the light on the hill. This is indeed the place that we all love and treasure and cherish, and this is indeed the place that I want to serve you as the United States Senator. Thank you very much.